What if I told you that money is not the first thing you should chase if you want to be wealthy young? Not the business, not the hustle, not even the skills. Jim Rohn said it best. Your level of success will rarely exceed your level of personal development. Most people try to get rich by changing their income, but they stay broke because they never change their thinking. Wealth begins long before the money shows up in your bank account. It begins in your mind. Stay with me till the end of this video because the final lesson might completely change how you see money and success forever. Lesson 1. Work harder on yourself than on your job. The fundamental mistake most people make in their pursuit of success is believing that hard work alone is the answer. We are taught from a young age that if we show up early, leave late, and grind endlessly at our employment, we will be rewarded. While hard work is a virtue, working hard on a job only solves a short-term problem, the need for a paycheck. Jim Rohn's philosophy creates a distinction between making a living and designing a life. When you work hard on your job, you are trading your time for a fixed amount of currency. This is a linear transaction. However, when you work hard on yourself, you are investing in an asset that has no cap on its return. You are building the vessel that can hold more responsibility, more skill, and ultimately more wealth. Consider the economic reality of the marketplace. We get paid for the value we bring to the hour, not for the hour itself. This is why a fast food worker and a brain surgeon can work the same number of hours yet have vastly different paychecks. It is not a matter of moral superiority, it is a matter of market value. If you want to increase your income, you cannot simply demand more money from the market without offering more value. Working on yourself means aggressively acquiring the skills, the emotional intelligence, the leadership capabilities, and the specialized knowledge that makes you rare and valuable. If you only work on your job, your skills remain static. If you work on yourself, your value compounds. Working on yourself is an active, daily discipline that requires you to look in the mirror and identify your deficiencies. It involves reading books that challenge your current thinking, attending seminars that expand your horizons, and surrounding yourself with people who are playing a bigger game than you are. It means mastering communication, because the ability to articulate your ideas is often the difference between poverty and wealth. It means taking care of your physical health so you have the energy to pursue your goals. When you prioritize personal development, you stop chasing success. Instead, you become the type of person that success is naturally attracted to. As Rohn famously said, success is not something you pursue, it is something you attract by the person you become. The danger of ignoring this lesson is stagnation. Millions of people find themselves in the same position at age 50 as they were at age 30, not because they didn't work hard, but because they didn't grow. They relied on their employer to dictate their value rather than dictating it themselves. By working harder on yourself than your job, you gain autonomy. You become less dependent on the economy, the government, or a specific boss because your skills are portable and your mindset is adaptable. You become the captain of your own ship. Ultimately, this lesson is about resource allocation. You have a finite amount of energy every day. If 100% of that energy goes into fulfilling someone else's vision, your job, you have nothing left to build your own. You must carve out time, early in the morning or late at night, to build your intellectual and character equity. This might mean sacrificing Netflix for a book or leisure time for a course. It is a sacrifice of present comfort for future competency. When you commit to this path, the external rewards, money, recognition, promotion eventually show up as a byproduct of your internal expansion. To implement this, you must treat your personal growth curriculum with the same seriousness as your job description. You would not skip a meeting with your boss because you didn't feel like it, yet people skip their own reading or exercise constantly. You must become your own strict employer regarding your personal development. Set performance reviews for your own life. Are you wiser today than you were a month ago? Have you learned a new skill this quarter? If the answer is no, you are merely working on your job and you are leaving your fortune on the table. Lesson 2. Your philosophy determines your future. Philosophy in the context of Jim Rohn's teachings is not an academic subject studied in universities. It is the filter through which you view the world. It is the sum total of what you know, what you believe, and how you decide. This internal guidance system is the single greatest factor in determining your financial and personal destiny. Two people can live in the same country, face the same economy, and have the same opportunities, yet one becomes wealthy while the other goes broke. The difference is not the external circumstances, it is the internal philosophy. One sees a crisis as a disaster, the other sees it as an opportunity. One believes money is the root of all evil, the other believes money is a tool for doing good. Your philosophy is the set of the sail. Rohn used the metaphor that the same wind blows on us all, the wind of disaster, opportunity, change and challenge. We cannot control the wind, but we can control how we set our sail. A person with a weak or negative philosophy will be blown onto the rocks of financial ruin by the slightest economic downturn. A person with a strong educated philosophy will use that same wind to propel them toward their goals. If you believe that the system is rigged and that you have no power, your actions will reflect that helplessness. You won't try, you won't save, and you won't invest. Your philosophy becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Most people inherit their philosophy without questioning it. They adopt the cynicism of their parents, the complaining nature of their co-workers, or the consumerist mindset of the media. This is dangerous. A poor philosophy leads to errors in judgment. If your philosophy is spend it while you have it because you might die tomorrow, you will make daily errors in judgment that lead to poverty. If your philosophy is plant seeds today to harvest tomorrow, you will make daily disciplines that lead to wealth. The scary part is that these errors in judgment do not show their consequences immediately. You can eat unhealthy food or spend more than you earn for a long time before the catastrophe hits. But eventually the mathematical reality of your philosophy will catch up with you. Changing your philosophy is the hardest but most rewarding work you can do. It requires admitting that your current way of thinking might be wrong. It requires you to stand guard at the door of your mind. You must actively reject thoughts of victimhood, entitlement, and fear. You must replace them with thoughts of responsibility, curiosity, and courage. Instead of saying "I can't afford it," which shuts down the brain, a strong philosophy asks, "How can I afford it?" This simple linguistic shift changes your brain from a passive observer to an active problem solver. A sound philosophy also dictates how you treat failure and success. A weak philosophy looks at failure as a sign to quit. A strong philosophy views failure as data, essential feedback required for course correction. Similarly, a weak philosophy lets success go to the head, leading to arrogance and eventual downfall. A strong philosophy treats success with humility, knowing that what is built can be lost if the disciplines that built it are abandoned. Your philosophy creates your attitude creates your actions create your results, and your results create your lifestyle. Therefore, to change your bank account, you must first change your mind. You must study the philosophies of those who have achieved what you want to achieve. What do they believe about risk? What do they believe about time management? What do they believe about human nature? When you align your internal operating system with the laws of success, the friction disappears. You stop fighting against the current and start flowing with it. Your future is not a roll of the dice, it is a direct reflection of the thoughts you nurture and the beliefs you hold true. Lesson 3. Discipline is the bridge between goals and wealth. We all have ambitious goals, we all want to be healthy, wealthy, and wise. However, the chasm between having a goal and realizing that goal is vast. The only bridge that crosses that chasm is discipline. Jim Rohn taught that we must all suffer from one of two pains, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. The difference is that the pain of discipline weighs ounces, while the pain of regret weighs tons. Discipline is the ability to give yourself a command and follow through with it, regardless of how you feel emotionally. Motivation is fickle. It is a feeling that comes and goes like the weather. Discipline is a character trait. It is the bedrock upon which fortunes are built. Wealth is rarely the result of one massive heroic event. It is almost always the result of small, mundane, unsexy actions repeated consistently over a long period of time. It is the discipline to save 10% of your income every month, even when there is a sale on. It is the discipline to read for 30 minutes a day when you would rather watch television. It is the discipline to make that extra sales call when you are tired. These actions seem insignificant in the moment. Doing them doesn't make you rich today, and neglecting them doesn't make you poor today. But compounded over 10 years, the difference is astronomical. The greatest enemy of discipline is the concept of tomorrow. We delude ourselves into thinking that the future version of us will be more disciplined than the present version. We say, I will start saving when I make more money, or I will start working out when I have more time. This is a lie. Discipline is not a switch you flip when conditions are perfect. It is a muscle you build when conditions are hard. If you cannot be disciplined with a small income, you will be reckless with a large one. In fact, money tends to expose your lack of discipline rather than cure it. Discipline also creates a positive feedback loop for your self-esteem. Every time you hold a promise to yourself, you build self-trust. When you discipline yourself to wake up early or finish a project, you feel a sense of pride. This pride fuels you to tackle bigger challenges. Conversely, every time you break a promise to yourself, hitting snooze, overspending, procrastinating, you chip away at your self-respect. Eventually, you stop setting goals altogether because you know deep down you won't achieve them. This is the psychological poverty that precedes financial poverty. Rohn emphasized that discipline affects every area of life because everything affects everything else. You cannot be disciplined in your business but chaotic in your health and expect to succeed. The mindset of letting things slide is a contagion. If you let your car get messy, you'll likely let your finances get messy. The discipline to make your bed is the same muscle required to balance your ledger. It is the attention to detail and the refusal to accept mediocrity in any form. To master this lesson, you must fall in love with the process, not just the result. You must learn to appreciate the grind. You must understand that every act of discipline is a brick in the mansion of your future. It requires constant vigilance. The weeds in the garden do not need encouragement to grow. They grow if you simply do nothing. Neglect is the natural state of things. Discipline is the active force required to keep the chaos at bay and build something structured, beautiful, and profitable. Lesson 4. Learn to delay gratification. We live in an era of instant gratification. With a click of a button, we can have food delivered, entertainment streamed, and products shipped to our door. This culture of immediacy is the greatest threat to building long-term wealth. Jim Rohn warned that if you spend your money as soon as you get it, you are destined for a life of financial struggle. The ability to delay gratification, to say no to the desire of the present moment in order to say yes to a better future, is the hallmark of financial maturity. It is the understanding that you cannot have your seed and eat it too. If you eat your seed corn today, you have nothing to plant for the harvest. The easy life now leads to the hard life later. Young people in particular fall into the trap of lifestyle inflation. As soon as they get a raise, they buy a better car or move into a bigger apartment. They upgrade their lifestyle to match their income, leaving zero margin for investment. They look rich, but they are asset poor. They are slaves to their overhead. Rohn taught that wealth is not determined by how much you earn, but by how much you keep and how hard that money works for you. By delaying the purchase of luxuries, you free up capital to buy assets, stocks, real estate, businesses that will eventually pay for those luxuries. Delayed gratification is not about living a miserable, deprived life. It is about strategic timing. It is about understanding the power of compound interest. $1 spent on a frivolous item today costs you not just $1, but the potential growth of that dollar over 40 years. When you understand this, spending becomes painful because you see the true opportunity cost. Rohn urged people to adopt the philosophy of an investor rather than a consumer. The consumer asks, "What can I buy with this?" The investor asks, "What can this earn for me?" This concept requires a high degree of emotional intelligence. You must be able to manage your impulses. Marketing agencies spend billions of dollars to trigger your impulses, to make you feel that you are missing out if you don't buy now. Delaying gratification creates a gap between the stimulus and the response. In that gap lies your financial freedom. It allows you to make rational decisions based on your long-term goals rather than emotional decisions based on short-term cravings. It allows you to withstand peer pressure and the desire to keep up with the Joneses, knowing that the Joneses are likely drowning in debt. Furthermore, delaying gratification builds resilience. When you voluntarily choose the harder path, saving instead of spending, studying instead of partying, you harden your mind. You learn that you do not need immediate pleasure to be happy. You find satisfaction in the progress toward a worthy ideal. This mental toughness is essential for entrepreneurship and investing. where rewards are often delayed for years. You must be willing to work for free, or even at a loss, in the beginning, confident in the payoff down the road. The ultimate reward of delayed gratification is freedom. When you have paid the price in advance, you eventually reach a point where you no longer have to trade time for money. The investments you made 10 years ago start paying you dividends. You can choose how to spend your day. You can travel, give to charity, or pursue creative projects without worrying about the bills. This is the easy life later that Rohn promised. It is not given, it is earned by the accumulated sacrifices of your younger self. Lesson 5. Income rarely exceeds personal development. This is perhaps Jim Rohn's most famous and profound law. Your level of success will rarely exceed your level of personal development. Because success is something you attract by the person you become. Many people wish for a windfall, a lottery win, an inheritance, or a lucky break. But reality shows that if someone is handed $1 million but possesses the mindset of $1,000 person, the money will disappear. They do not have the psychological container to hold that amount of wealth. They will sabotage themselves, make poor investments, or squander it until their bank account matches their self-concept. Conversely, if you take all the money away from a self-made millionaire, they will likely be rich again within a few years. Why? Because they didn't lose their knowledge, their network, their resilience, or their philosophy. The wealth was not in the bank account, the wealth was in the person. The money was merely a reflection of their internal value. Therefore, the goal shouldn't just be to get $1 million. The goal should be to become the kind of person who can generate and manage $1 million. Once you become that person, the money is inevitable. And even if you lose it, you can make it back. This lesson commands us to stop looking for shortcuts and start looking for growth. If you want to double your income, you must double your value to the marketplace. You must become twice as efficient, twice as persuasive, or twice as knowledgeable. You cannot solve level 10 problems with level 2 skills. If your income has plateaued, it is a signal that your personal development has plateaued. You have hit the ceiling of your current capability. To break through the ceiling, you must expand your mind. Raising your standards is a critical part of this development. You must demand more of yourself than anyone else could ever expect. If you only do what is asked of you, you will earn a standard living. If you do more than is expected, you earn a fortune. Personal development involves refining your character, becoming more honest, more reliable, and more visionary. It involves expanding your emotional capacity to handle stress and rejection. The marketplace pays for leadership, and leadership is nothing more than the result of intense personal development. Rohn also taught that we become the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with. Part of personal development is curating your environment. If you surround yourself with people who are stagnant, cynical, and broke, their gravitational pull will keep you down. If you surround yourself with people who are growing, reading, and succeeding, their pace will force you to speed up. You must be ruthless about protecting your mind and your environment. You cannot afford to spend time with people who validate your excuses. Ultimately, this lesson shifts the focus from having to being. The pursuit of money without personal growth is a hollow victory. It leads to the rich but miserable syndrome. But when your income grows as a result of your personal evolution, you enjoy the wealth because you have earned it in the deepest sense. You have not just acquired cash, you have acquired character. You have become a person of substance. And as Rohn said, the greatest reward of becoming a millionaire is not the amount of money that you get. It is the kind of person that you have to become a millionaire. Jim Rohn didn't teach people how to chase money, he taught them how to attract it by becoming better human beings. If you want wealth while you're young, stop focusing only on money and start fixing your mindset. Invest in your thoughts, your habits, and your discipline, and money will follow as a byproduct. Remember, success is something you attract by the person you become. Start today and your future self will thank you.